It's a huge week for you. Now we're getting started because Thursday,
Yes.
your new EP, Pretty Girls, is coming out. I want
Yes,
to talk
ma'am.
about that. But before we do, can you talk a little bit about your history and how you started making music?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So I was enrolled at, okay, wait, how far back are we going?
As far
Uh,
back as you're willing to go. I got
oh my
time.
gosh. Okay. So growing up, I was, music was a part of everything. My dad would always put us on to new bands, like while he was taking us to school, elementary school, everything. So I've always been huge into music. The first thing I started doing was playing guitar. My dad and I went to see Kings of Leon in Nashville, and I was just like hooked. Like their music was so good. So I went home and learned how to play guitar, and I learned like every one of their songs. So through high school, I was in like a little indie band with two of my buddies. So we would play like a ton of covers, like Beatles covers, like ton of like stuff like that. And then following that, I talked a little about this in a different interview. I don't want to seem like I'm repeating myself way too much, but I had this weird like rap career start
I'm
because
intrigued.
because I used to just like rap a lot with my friends, just freestyling, just having fun when we would hang out, and we just put on like a lo-fi beat or something and freestyle over it. And my buddy got this job at a recording studio in Detroit one summer, and he called me and he was like, I just got this like official studio, come down, like let's record something. We were just having fun, right? I drove down to Detroit from my hometown, which is about 5 hours,
Mhm.
and um we laid down like two freestyles, and the engineer who ran the studio heard him and he loved him so much that he like called me on the phone while I was driving back up, and he's like, you got to come back down here, like we want to give you a contract, like you're unreal. Like he loved it, and this was like a big time thing. It was a studio like where all the Detroit rap legends would go record. Like it
Yeah.
was a big, so I thought it was really cool at first, but I mean, a little bit into that, I'm like, this isn't really, this is just kind
Aw.
of, yeah, unfortunately it became a bit of a job instead of a hobby, and
Mhm.
that's never what it was.
Right.
So that burnt out kind of quick. And then I went to Oregon. So I was going to the University of Oregon, my freshman year, which would have been 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And I was really into DJing. I've always been kind of into DJing, and my brother was always the one who was like, "You can be the best DJ in the world. If you want to make a career out of this, you got to make the music." So it kind of hit me finally at Oregon that I wanted to be doing this full time. Started Ableton, just started producing instead of going to class. Literally, like classic story.
Yep.
Every morning I would wake up, I would skip the party, so I stopped going to parties because I was like so into the music I was making, and I was like, you know what? I couldn't afford Oregon anyways. It was out of state. It was insane. I was like,
Mhm.
I'm going to do something with this because I love doing this. So just made the jump spring term of
That's
college.
so awesome. That's so exciting. What were the reactions of people in your life when you decided to take that plunge?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. My father, so I called my parents, and they were at a wedding in Nebraska for my cousin. And my dad has always kind of let me do what I want to do. He's been very supportive of all my endeavors. And I guess we're very progressive family, very free thinking, very like, you try it out, artistic, it's all good, everything flies. And he was at a wedding, and he was kind of with like a side of my family that was a bit more conservative. And I remember I remember calling him and telling him like, hey, I'm gonna submit this application to Icon. Like, I'm gonna do this. I'm serious. I'm leaving Oregon. I'm going for it. And he's at the wedding, and he goes, yeah, buddy, maybe hold off on that. Like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know if we should just jump to a new thing just like this. Like maybe don't do it yet. And he hangs up the phone, and I'm sitting in the room at Oregon, and I'm like, my world had just like been shook because he
Like,
had
who
kind of
was
been,
that man?
yeah, exactly, because he had been kind of telling me like it was cool.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I was like panicking. I was like, oh shit, like, does he not support this? And all of a sudden, like 5 minutes later, he calls me back and he goes, hey, I don't know what the fuck oh, sorry, am I allowed to swear?
Oh, say whatever you want. It's all good.
He goes, I don't know what the fuck I was just talking about. Like, I guess this wedding is rubbing off on me a little bit. He goes, you do whatever the fuck you want. Like, follow your dreams. Go apply to that damn school. And like, I was like, oh my gosh, let's do it. It was insane. I'll never forget in that 5 minutes between the phone calls, I'm like, who did I just talk to?
Yeah,
like
who possessed my father? I love that he felt so bad about it that he called you back almost immediately because he had the same thoughts as you.
Yeah, literally the same thoughts. It was crazy.
That is a great story. And look at you now. I mean, you've been working hard, killing it. I hear you had a little bit of a life-changing Twitch live session that caught Space Yacht's ears a little bit.
Yes.
What's the story there? What happened?
So, yeah. Okay, there's like a really funny karma type story behind it. Hang on. There's a thing I have to get. There's a spider in my room. Yes. So I sent them music. They started doing Tune Reactor, and I only had like one song, and it was Earringin', which came out on Night Base Freshman Comp. I was making that in my third quarter of Icon, and so I kind of knew that song, like I had some good feedback on that song, so it was my one kind of support system. So I'm like, okay, if I put myself on the radar, I feel good about this, you know, I feel like they'll like this one. So I sent it to Tune Reactor. My roommate from Oregon was actually coming up to visit that week, and they heard it, they reviewed it, they loved it, and they DM'd me, and it was the first time like I'd ever like, oh my God, Space Yacht's DMing me, like it was crazy. My roommate had just gotten up. We were gonna go get lunch, and I was telling him, I'm like, hey, I sent my song to Space Yacht, like they just DM me, they're asking for more stuff. He's like, do you have more stuff? I'm like, no.
Not yet.
Not at all. Like nothing else. And I'm like, you know how we were gonna hang out today? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, not anymore. I gotta make more shit.
Yeah. Forget about lunch is what that means.
So we literally sat. He's got a video of it still that he sends me. Like, it's really cool to look back on. We sat in my room and I just we looked at each other. We were just kind of like tossing ideas around, and we made Tiffany like that day. And that vocal just hit so naturally. I think I was just so excited about finally getting good feedback on a song. I was like, yeah, you know, I just had this huge spark. So we made Tiffany that day instead of like hanging out. And then, so that would have been the day in between Tune Reactor, because it's every other day.
Okay.
So I'm like, we made Tiffany that day. And then that night we ended up going out and getting food together. And the waitress messed up the checks. Mm-hmm. And I made this joke because we both got charged for his amount of food, mm-hmm. and my amount of food was more. And I was like, oh, I'm about to like save some money, you know, like I was about to just like pay it.
Yeah.
And I go, no, you know what? Like, I'm going to do the right thing and I'm going to ask for the right check, because if I don't, we're not going to be able to play Space Yacht. And it was a complete just like joke. Mm-hmm. And she comes back and I go, excuse me, like this is wrong. I owe you guys more. And she goes, oh, thanks for your honesty. She brings back the check and we pay. And then the next day I give them Tiffany and they book me on the spot, protect my house. And I call my roommate and I go, thank God we paid that check.
Yes, karma's a real thing.
So funny. So yeah, that was super life-changing. They loved it. They were like, are you in LA? We're gonna book you on the spot. I didn't even think it was real. I went on this huge walk. I was freaking out. I called all my family and stuff. And yeah, it was life-changing. It was huge.
That's so huge. And now Space Yacht just loves you, as they should. How would you say your life has changed since you've made that connection with them?
For the better, for sure. They have made LA such like a less intimidating place for me. Mm-hmm. They're literally like my parents. They're my LA parents out here now. So like I can check in with them whenever anything's going on. Like London Bridge, Rami and I will just have a talk. You know, I'll just FaceTime them, whatever. We'll go get Dave's together. Henry, same thing. It's been super nice. They're kind of like this nice filter too. If I have any questions, it's a great piece of feedback, a great opinion to have before anything I'm going to do musically, I can reach out to these guys. So they've been such a great help. Yeah, I can't thank those guys enough.
That is awesome. And that's a really great point you made, I think, because LA can be super intimidating if you go out there not knowing what's going on, but to have them as kind of just like a guide being there, that's got to be really cool.
100%. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, this Thursday, the EP comes out. Very exciting. What can you tell us about it?
Oh man. It's, I tried to do something a little different with this one, to be honest. I still put vocals on one of them. So Pretty Girls has my vocals, which has, I guess, started to become a little bit of like a signature sound for me. Is just doing original vocals. But The Giver is one I'm super excited about. That's the B track or B side. And, the drum grooves are different. The Tiffany EP was this very swung, very minimal sounding drum groove. This one is very built up and very on the grid, very straightforward. So I thought it kind of showcased a different set of talents, like the ability to do both, keep one on the grid, a lot of percussive elements, stuff like that. And then hopefully people see that like in comparison to the Tiffany EP, like, oh, covering like a little bit of a broader tech house spectrum. Yeah. So that was really my focus. Also, the sampling from The Giver was, I know people will recognize it. I'm not gonna tell them what it's from yet, but it's like a sample I really had to create dig for. From a song that I knew growing up. So I guess maybe just another example of like, oh, I want to showcase that I do my research. I know how to, find that sample too, So yeah, I wanted to bring something new to the table. And then, the first time I sent Pretty Girls to Rami, he was just like all over it. Like the hook is Pretty Girls Don't Wait in Line. They do them in the bathroom. And I wrote it in this room. It was my first song I wrote in my new apartment. And I sent it to him in the day of. He's like, oh, give that to me. I want that. He played it like that night. So yeah, it's exciting to see this one finally come around.
That's a really good feeling, I'm sure. And not to like rush things past the EP, but are there any other projects you're currently working on that you're really excited about?
Yes, absolutely. It's exclusive info right here.
Here it comes.
On April 2nd, so the week after this EP releases, I actually am on the Night Bass, this Night Bass 12 compilation. Another acid house type song called 2 and 6 is coming out the following week. And then right now, working on a bunch of stuff. Can't reveal all of it right now, but I'm slammed. So,
that's good. That's a good way to be, especially, this is somewhat new. You've been in the game, a few years now, and it's just been kind of fast tracked. What would you say has been the most exciting thing to happen to you thus far in this music journey?
Oh, most exciting.
I mean, the Space Yacht thing.
Every time I get something exciting, though, something new and exciting happens.
That's how
you know what? The Mala and DJ Snake thing was pretty exciting.
I was gonna ask you about that. That's so cool.
Yeah. So I've been like a diehard. I'm literally like, this is a Mala necklace.
Oh, so cool.
I've been a diehard Mala fan for as long as I can remember. That dude really got me into house music. I was working at a utility delivery company, so like we would fix like washers and dryers and refrigerators and stuff like that, and I'd sit in this big warehouse all summer and I would just listen to Mala every single day. And this is like when I was getting into house, when I was, I think, a senior in high school. So to see him like vibing out to my song was like, oh my gosh. And it was the first time my parents like understood, they're not really, they don't know EDM too much, but of course they know him because I've been just like idolizing him forever. So when he was listening to my song and reacting that way, I was like, no way, that was incredible.
Yes. Was that a complete surprise? Like, how did all that come together for you?
Complete surprise. Wow. My friends and I were driving down to San Diego, and I got a DM from someone that I don't even know that well, and he's like, yo, Mala played your song. Mala and Snake played your song. And I was like, no way. And I didn't believe him at all. And I told my friends, and they were kind of both preoccupied because one was driving and the other was like on a Zoom call.
Mhm.
So I told them, I'm like, Mala and Snake played my track, and they both kind of went, oh, cool. You know what I mean? Like,
You're
they
like,
didn't even-
no, you don't understand.
yeah. And then like
Like,
they both like snapped out of it at the same time. They're like,
oh,
wait, what? We like pulled the car over, and we
oh.
like we did research to make sure it was true. We found the video, and we went and like celebrated a little bit. Like we stopped by and like got some beers and hung out for a bit, just kind of like soaked it in. But crazy, crazy. It was awesome. Yeah.
That's a good day. That's awesome. And just
Very
more
good
to
day.
come, Ranger. They're coming.
More to
I'm
hopefully, yes.
sure, yes, for sure. I'm sure that you're very excited to get out in the world too and perform all your new music
Yes.
live and whatnot. So what places are on your dream list that you would love to perform when the pandemic's over?
For sure. Yeah. I want to definitely go back to the two places that kind of like made me into an artist. So that would be Eugene, Oregon, where I went to college. I want to play a show. They have a huge amphitheater there called Cuthbert. Beautiful place. And I've always wanted to throw like a proper show back up there. I know I've got a ton of friends who would come through, and that would be nice. And then Michigan, of course, would be great too. Shows, are you talking like festivals or like city specifically or anything?
Anything. What's the
Yeah.
dream?
Electric Forest would be insane. So all my friends would go to that growing up. We'd get in the cars together, we drive down. Just a very like that hits close to home for sure. My brother was the first one to go, and he was like, you got to come next year, so that would be huge to play that one.
Yes.
Snow Globe Festival in Lake Tahoe too. I've been going to that for a while, and so that one would mean a lot too. But I'll take whatever,
Absolutely.
Right now,
at this point, no one's going to be picky when this is over, for real. And I do think there will be something special about performing where you're from. That's got to feel so cool.
Absolutely.
I'm only a little hurt that Maine wasn't on your dream list, but that's okay.
Love Maine. You're based in Maine, yeah?
Yes, Ranger.
So I almost went to Bates College.
You did?
Yeah, I've been to like I know Maine like pretty well. Camden and Portland and stuff like that. Like I've been around Maine a little bit.
Love that about you, Ranger. Well, then you must know our state motto is the way life should be. So I want to know, according to you, what is the way life should be?
Oh, that's a good question. The way life should be. I think the way life should be, especially now during quarantine, is give yourself, I always say this, just like give yourself twice the credit for everything. I feel like we're really hard on ourselves as a society, and when we are not even enabled or like allowed to go about and do our jobs like in our offices and stuff like that and live a normal life, if we're not giving ourselves twice the credit for the little things that we do, it might make us like a lot more easily depressed. So I always want to I'm always talking to my family and my brother and stuff like that, friends. I just tell them not to get so down about stuff, take more days off. It's just twice as important right now. So the way life should be is just easygoing, making sure that you're putting yourself first, and also just being authentic and knowing that what you do, if it's genuine, is the right call, and people can adjust to it. Like that's the first step. There's got to be this choice you make where you kind of carve out something for yourself, and it's a little out there. It might be a little different, but you got to have people come to that, because you can't just like be like somebody else who's already doing that thing. I guess that's kind of a weird way to put it. But
no, I totally see what you're saying. And I love that advice, because I'll even catch myself sometimes, and I'm a positive person, but you can't help but think like, oh, wow, the last year of my life has been wasted. Nothing's happened, but that's just not true. And it's also not our fault. So
yeah, exactly.
You just gotta, I like that. Give yourself twice the credit you think you
absolutely
deserve. That's really good.
Twice the days off, twice the Netflix, all that. Just like, it's hard right now. And I think people are just as hard as themselves on themselves now as they were without a quarantine. And that should not translate. You should
not the same,
because that'll really mess you up.
Yes. 100%. Well, I cannot wait till we get through this and until I can see you perform at Bates College. Because I feel like we put that out into the universe. And Ranger, thank you so much for talking with me today. I can't wait for Thursday, and we, like you said, just have more and more coming. So we'll keep looking for it.
And thank you so much. This has been fantastic.
Yay! It's great to meet you, Ranger, until we meet again.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Take care.